Welcome to the Operate Intelligently podcast, the podcast for all things operations. Thank you for joining us on the Operate Intelligently podcast. Today we're coming to you live from Dude University in downtown Raleigh, and joining me is John Dufay, who is the Executive Director of Maintenance Operation at Albuquerque Public Schools. John, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Good morning. What a beautiful day it is here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah,
blue
nice
skies.
and sunny. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful today.
So, John, tell us a little bit more about your role with Albuquerque Public Schools and your history with Dude.
Well, I've been with the school district 30 years. In my 31st year, I'm the Executive Director of Operations, which is part of maintenance and operations. And we've been using School Dude really from day one almost, back in 2002, 2003, and then went full bore in 2004.
Wow. So, yeah, quite a long history with
Yes. And love it. And it's what we really need to move forward in today's world of technology and all kinds of automation systems and things, and information and data.
So you had a chance to speak today at Dude University,
Yes.
and could you tell us a little bit about what you spoke?
Well, mostly about using data for data-driven decision-making and how we use data to do predictability and all the things that we do at this level now. It's no longer maintenance operations like a wrench and things like that. You have your technicians carrying a laptop, having them carry a tablet. They plug into everything. So it's a different world.
Yeah.
Even the mechanics carry a laptop because they plug into vehicles. They don't open the hood and look at it and kick the tires anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a different world.
You have your diagnostics tools. You also have, the ability to retrieve information that, in older days we had to carry around manuals or go back to a central storage facility or something like that to look up this stuff. But now we have that ability to get it in real time.
Absolutely, and that really goes for even the technologies that we're using in buildings now, whether it's air conditioning systems, elevator systems, lighting systems, all the things that we're seeing out there, the controls, DDC controls, digital controls, everything seems to have just really jumped forward with technology and products that are driven, whether it's just Bluetooth, but everything's connected. We were listening, matter of fact, yesterday, someone was saying, in another 10 years, you'll have 10 or 15 items connected to some digital. Thinking, we've got that now.
Yeah.
We don't need to wait 15 years. We got it now. I could go on. How did I forget? I'm all the way here, and I think, did I shut the garage door? I'll pull it up, and I can check on my phone that I shut the garage door. Is it shut? Oh, who's at the door? Let me look. It's now.
Yeah.
From lights to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing in the schools.
Mm-hmm. So, talking about kind of becoming more data-driven, did you find that you had like a challenge in like kind of the cultural shift of how people were, more so going to go back to that data reporting tool or that automation tool that's giving them data versus maybe other ways they were getting it before?
Well, I think there's a huge culture change in many different ways, but you have a culture of going from, like we said earlier, from the shade tree mechanic or from somebody that, you open the hood, you look at it, you listen to the engine, you kick the tires, try to figure out, to now plugging in and looking at it. And so it takes a whole different level of thinking. It takes a level of training. And so you have technicians who, when someone says, my air conditioner's not working, and you go, okay, it's not just going out there, put a ladder up there and go see if the motor's working or turn on a switch or whatever. First thing you're doing is you open up the laptop, you go into the controls and you see something's off, on, and then you drill down deeper and look for which motor is the problem. Is it reversed? You can have graphics, you see all that stuff. Then you can make the diagnostics piece there, do the analytical work, and then you can send either tech out there or you can fix it right there on the computer by turning on a switch. Did it just trip? Is it off? Is it occupied mode, unoccupied mode? Maybe you can fix it there, or you may send a tech, but you already know where you're sending that tech for, and he goes immediately to that unit. If it's a school, there may be 12, 15 units.
Yeah.
I don't have to go look at it. I know which one I'm going to, and I know what part I'm looking.
So is there any other trends or technology that you're looking to kind of see for the first time or explore a little bit more while you're here at Duke University?
Well, I think we're looking right now. We're into the Energy Manager, and Energy Manager is an incredible tool that you're able to look at real time. You can look at energy usage every 15 minutes, whatever you want it as, where the energy is being used, what area is it being used, what school are we having a problem, controlling peak demand, surcharges. Those are so punitive to where it's important to follow those and to monitor what's going on, where we're able to then shut units down, whether we're curbing some usage, or whether we do a slow startup in the mornings, like during the winter time, or during the summer, instead of having hard starts, we're able to control a soft start, meaning that we stagger each unit to start so we don't have a big surge of electricity and then gives us a peak demand charge. So there's a lot of things you can do, and also controlling where there's a problem is electricity being used at night that's above and beyond what there is, so you can monitor night usage, weekend usage, and I think that's the one thing that how we drive the future of our school business, and it's any business facility, but for us in the school business, where do we put our resources? Resources are limited no matter what kind, but in education they're limited. And do you put it in this building? You put it here. You can do forecasting, and so we're looking at where our problem schools are, and you can always say, well, I know where my school is, but can you really show me? And that's what the data does. And the thing is it's the idea is have information going to school board saying I need money for this, but you bring the data, you show it to them. Also, it really helps defuse the political side of things for me. We're in a situation where in our school board they're not at large. They're elected in districts. So Albuquerque is a very large school district in the sense of square miles. We're over 1,250 square miles.
Wow.
So it's huge. And we're in 3 counties. So what happens is you really have the haves and the have-nots, and you have this school, older schools that are 60, 70 years old. You have some schools that are brand new that we've built a number of new schools. So you and it's in the new schools are built a lot of times in the areas that are growing because that's where a great need is. And then you're able to take some of the older schools, repurpose them or rebuild them and things like that. But you have that. So a lot of times you get into a situation where the neighborhood or people that go, their parents feel that they're not getting what somebody else gets. And you always have it in every city, the political side of, well, if this was in the Northeast Heights, I wouldn't have this problem. They would have fixed it right away. And so what happens with us and what we do is we track everything that we do by district. We also track everything we do by zone. And every work order, anything that's done by each school, we can list it, and we do this. We create this big report every year, and it goes to and it's published. We give it across, whether it's through the Council of Great City Schools, here, Dude Solutions, and it shows everything that we do and where the dollars go. And so what happens is when we take the information, we're able to go to the school board at a district meeting and say, here it is. You can see exactly what we spent at your school, and what we spent at your school and your district, and it takes away the emotional side. And it also takes away that political side, because they see then what the money is spent. They see we're spending the money where it's most needed. The schools, they spend a lot over there. Well, that school's 75 years old, and your school's 20. Your school's only 15. It's a newer school. It gets a lot of work, but it doesn't need the same as a school that's 75, 80 years old.
Yeah.
And so it takes away that. That's a big plus.
Yeah.
And it also then, it's a huge tool advantage for me when I go to budget, because I take all this information, I give it, and I show them, and I say, here's my needs. I can show them the number of work orders, the number of callbacks, all these different items that we're having. I can take to them and I lay it out, and I say, here it is. And they, how do you either you're going to say yes or no, but you can't argue about the data.
Exactly.
And so they see the bigger need, they see the need for it, and they're like, wow, it's hard to argue data. You can have feelings, you can feel that you steal, something, but the data's there. And what we do is we utilize that data for data-driven. So, am I going to do this, or am I going to do this? There's a bigger need. It also helps the technicians. The technicians can look at work orders, and they can see. We have a policy where we try to say, look, we want to limit Band-Aids. And that's based on some budget too, but we want to limit Band-Aids. But if you have the data, since they have tablets, they can look up, and if they don't remember how many times they've been there, they can look at the school, they can look at the work order and say, wow, I've been here 4 times on the same air conditioning unit. It's time to replace this motor instead of Band-Aid, or it's a time to replace this controller or something. Or, if it's a boiler or hot water heater, maybe I just replaced the unit. I've been here 3 times. They have the data ready to show them, and it justifies it. The other thing, what happens is now when they do that, we all of a sudden see a trending, because we follow each work order, we trend them for particular items, whether it's mechanical, and all of a sudden we see there's no more callbacks on this one. We don't see 3 or 4 work orders coming up for that same problem. We see that it's only 1 work order now that they fixed it. So we limit what work they've had to do there. Now they can go do some other work orders. They're not coming back, and we have less chances for catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
And it's huge. It's a big deal.
But that definitely increases your staff's productivity too, because you're not sending them back out to do the same thing over and over.
Absolutely. And part of like what we were presenting today was trends. You start to see the trend where your cost of a work order may go up because we're not band-aiding or replacing, but you don't see any more work orders after that.
Yeah.
So in the long run, your work order counts are going down. The amount of money you're spending on those are less. So they're minor repairs. They're not major repairs because we replaced it. Something may go wrong. So you see your costs. And that's the same thing that happens with our PMs. Our preventive maintenance costs, our work order costs have gone down because we're doing preventive maintenance with the PM schedule. And it's a big push where all those costs tend to go down now. And even when you're doing PM constantly, even your PM counts will go down. You're not having to do as many PMs because you're doing them on a regular schedule, and you don't have those extra work orders that come in. So it works in so many ways. And one of the biggest things is like when I go to budget, we're all fighting for the same money, in the sense that I'll have a different division of operations, or somebody going there, or a program's wanting, and you don't want to put one thing above something else, because it's all for the kids in the long run.
Yeah.
But everything we do is for the kids to give a better environment that's conducive to learning. And so we're just as much of a major player in school operations as a teacher, whatever, in that sense. And that's what you have to do. You have to create that. So the other thing that's happened is when we do go to budget and we're kind of fighting for the same dollars, the data carries a lot more weight and more credibility than someone who's saying, this is a great program, it's so amazing, you will love it, it's heartwarming, and all of a sudden, I had that same case happen, and they ended up giving me the money I asked for, and unfortunately a program didn't get funded. And when we were leaving, the gentleman was trying to get that money. I felt bad for him. And he told me, it's unfair. And I go, what's unfair? He says, because I had all this data, I could just present graph after graph, and everybody got it, and it was like just overwhelming. And he said, it's unfair. And I go, what? He says, you brought a gun to a knife fight, And then so it's like, okay, So it's been wonderful. It has helped us succeed in doing the things where we feel we're part of the success. Anything we do, if it doesn't support the academic master plan, maybe it's something we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
So everything in our resources have to support the education of children, has to support that environment that's conducive to learning and help be a part of the kids' success.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, John, Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the university.
I will. I'm sure I will, and I'll learn a lot, too.
Thank you for listening to the Operate Intelligently podcast, produced by Dude Solutions. You can reach us by emailing dspodcast@dudesolutions.com or check us out on the web at dudesolutions.com.